Hello, and welcome to Cyber Health at Home. Today, we'll be talking about best practices for information security at home. This presentation typically augments and supports, not replaces, company policy. Our agenda today will cover the following topics. First, a brief bio on myself. Then we'll talk about scope and definitions, why you should care about information security, what you can do both before and after an incident, and then we'll quickly recap what we did today. My name is Gary Chan. I'm an anti-fraud and information security specialist with 16 years of experience. I have a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and computer science from MIT. I hold multiple certifications. I'm currently a security consultant, and I was the former head of information security at a large cap company, the lead architect for multiple state agencies' anti-fraud systems, and president of the FBI St. Louis Citizens Academy Alumni Association. Information security best practices differ based upon whether you are an individual or representing a group or business. Today, we're going to talk about information security as an individual. There are many reasons why this differs from that of a group or business. A group or business is often subject to laws, regulations, and other obligations that individuals are not subject to. Groups and businesses have more to lose, so they will typically want more protection, which means that they buy more tools, for example. Groups and businesses have scale and management problems. They're going to have a lot more devices than individuals would have, for example, and that changes the way they would go about information security. Groups and individuals have insider threats, whether they be inadvertent or purposeful. Groups and businesses are subject to politics and organizational structure. And they also have a more complex technology environment. For example, an individual may have just an iPhone, but a group or business may have both iPhones and Android phones. There are three concepts that we should define: privacy, information security, and anti-fraud. Privacy defines the type of data that we would not want in the public domain. For example, my date of birth is personal information that I may not want in the public domain. Information security is the practice of safeguarding sensitive data. And anti-fraud is the prevention of deceptive practices. All three concepts are different, but work together. For example, if someone stole my date of birth information from my computer in order to pretend to be me, then stealing my identity is an anti-fraud concern. The act of stealing the data from my computer would be an information security concern, and the fact that the data stolen was my personal information would be a privacy concern. Today, we'll be focused on information security, which is the safeguarding of our data. So why should I care about information security? First, hackers commit cybercrime primarily for financial gain. If a hacker steals the username and password to your bank account, they could take all of your money. Second, you may spend a lot of time cleaning up the mess that a hacker made. Third, if someone sends emails on your behalf or takes actions as you could suffer a reputational loss because others think that it was you. Fourth, children nowadays grow up with the internet, where they can meet people from all over the world. Strangers can be influencing your children's thinking and behavior for better or for worse. Fifth, what you do affects your employer and others. If a hacker breaks into a business through your computer, that can cause significant damage, such as financial loss or intellectual property theft. Worst of all, your employer may think that it was you. Here's a quick quiz. Who do hackers target more? Small businesses or big businesses? Hackers target small businesses more. This is for a couple of reasons. One is that big businesses tend to have more security. And second is that there are significantly more small businesses than big businesses. How do hackers usually get in? By exploiting individuals or by exploiting things? The answer is exploiting individuals. It's far easier to trick a person into providing their username and password than it is to technically exploit a specific thing. There definitely are exploits for things, and there are definitely hackers doing that, but they are primarily exploiting individuals, and that's the reason for security awareness training. One of the most common questions I get asked is how much data sells for. A PayPal account with $12,000 in it may sell for $1,200. The next question is why the hacker doesn't just steal the $12,000 or sell the account login information for closer to $12,000. Well, hackers, like you and I, specialize in their job function. A hacker who specializes in stealing PayPal login credentials would sell that information to a broker who specializes in finding buyers. Buyers specialize in withdrawing money and laundering it. Each person along that chain takes some of the money. Typically, the most expensive data is healthcare patient records. A record can fetch up to $1,000. A fraudster may purchase a fake record and then get knee surgery, for example. Surgery could cost tens of thousands of dollars and be billed to someone else's insurance. Imagine if you could invest $1,000 and turn that into $50,000 in a week. Spending $1,000 to steal a patient record in order to get surgery for free is illegal, but makes financial sense to these criminals. We've all heard about phishing. Phishing remains one of the favorite methods of stealing information because it is very effective. Most people are not adept at identifying phishing emails. I've included a website here for you to test your phishing knowledge. This is a game where the website shows you different emails, and you identify whether it is a phishing email or a legitimate email. I highly recommend that you try this to test yourself. Our electronics, particularly our cell phones, store our entire lives on them. They include our private emails, text messages, pictures, healthcare data, and banking information. For that reason, device security is very important. I've listed here a number of activities you can perform. Lock your devices with a PIN or biometrics. Set your phone to auto lock after 5 minutes of inactivity. Patching and updating should be relatively easy now because most operating systems and software auto-update. Just don't cancel the update, and be sure to reboot your device frequently. Sometimes patches don't go into effect until it has been rebooted. For that reason, I suggest turning off your computer each day, since that would effectively reboot your computer the next time you turn it on. Connect only to Wi-Fi that you trust. Avoid connecting to public Wi-Fi, such as those at an airport, hotel, or conference. If you travel frequently, I suggest purchasing a mobile hotspot, which you can obtain from your cell phone service provider. Not only is that more secure, but it'll be more convenient for you. Set your location and privacy settings. Most major applications have been introducing these features recently. Make sure to use them to control your data. Use only trusted software applications and USB devices. It only takes one malicious software to compromise you and your device. Install anti-malware software. This doesn't apply to some devices like IoT and Apple phones. Finally, back up all of your important data. That way, even if you lose your device, you'll still have a copy of your data. When surfing the internet, be sure to interact only with trusted persons and companies. Just because they claim to be someone doesn't mean that they are. Assume everyone can read your posts. Even if you set your posts to private, others in your network can copy and paste that information elsewhere. Don't share or use the same password everywhere. Hackers will oftentimes steal passwords from one place and then attempt to use that same password in other applications that you use. Don't open or install anything that you don't know. Use two-factor authentication. This is often considered an inconvenience, but consider how much more inconvenient it would be if a hacker logged into your account. Two-factor authentication is much more effective than having only a password. Avoid using public computers. Many public computers, whether they be in internet cafes or at the library, are simply not secure. Other patrons can and often install keyloggers onto the machines. When that happens, the bad guy can see everything you type. Be careful clicking on email links and when entering your username and password. I recommend playing the phishing game from earlier in this presentation. When traveling to high-risk countries, don't bring electronics, if possible. Officials in other countries may have the right to seize your data or take it more surreptitiously. Use a fresh laptop and phone by having what is essentially a factory install of your operating system and a copy of documents necessary for use during the trip. Leave everything else at home. Make sure that you know the local laws, like whether you can refuse to unlock your devices for law enforcement and whether or not encryption is legal where you will be. Upon your return, copy out only the files you need, scan them for malware, and wipe everything else. Earlier, we talked briefly about the impact of the internet on children. Our children's safety is a priority. Because we cannot monitor them all day, take these other steps. Have open conversations with your children to find out what they do online. Teach them to be skeptical of both people and information that they find. Watch for behavioral changes. If your child's temperament drastically changes, it may be due to people that they've met online. Read your cell phone activity in your billing statement each month. Look to see who they talk with regularly. For online safety education, go to netsmarts.org/tipsheets. Remember that this is not a matter of privacy. Instead, it is a matter of keeping our children safe. In order to have good security, we need good detection practices. Here are some activities that you can perform. Obtain and review free credit reports. Every person in the US can receive one free credit report per year from each of the 3 major credit bureaus. Set bank and credit card alerts for every transaction so that you have immediate notification of any activity on your account rather than wait until the monthly statement. Check your login activity for your most important accounts. Finally, check your trusted applications. We'll talk about these last two in the following slides. Most cybercrimes go undetected because people don't take these extra steps. Be sure to use these detection practices. Here is one example of how to check login activity. This specific example is from Gmail. In the bottom right of Gmail, there is a Details button, which will allow you to see all of the most recent logins, as well as the current logged in machines. If you see machines or locations that don't look familiar, it is possible that someone else is using your account. In that case, be sure to click the Sign Out All Other Sessions button, immediately change your password, and continue to monitor your login activity. Here is an example of how to check what applications are integrated with your account. This specific example is also from Google. Hackers know that users are becoming better educated around password usage, so what they do now is request access to your information. Once you click yes, even if you change your password in the future, the bad guy will continue to have access to your data. Google, Microsoft, and other major companies provide tools for users to check what devices and applications have access to your data. Check these periodically to ensure that all devices and all third parties are what you expect. If any of the devices or third parties don't look familiar to you, use the tools to remove their access. I've included here a number of activities that you can perform if you are technical. I won't spend much time talking about each of them, but I will list them out. Use a trusted VPN provider when on untrusted Wi-Fi. Use a firewall. Use WPA2 encryption for Wi-Fi. Segment your network. Store sensitive documents using encryption. Turn on anti-theft options like Find My for Apple devices. Use password vaults or single sign-on solutions. No matter how secure we are, sometimes things go wrong. In that case, disconnect any affected devices from the internet. Change your password for any affected service. Contact, where relevant, the following organizations: your company, the platform, your bank, the credit bureaus, law enforcement, myself at Alphizzo if you need additional support, or Powers Insurance if you are a client. Finally, file an online complaint. Contact information for the major organizations can be found at scamaddicts.com/fraud-resources. Just note that usually no action will be taken on an individual basis in terms of the scamaddicts.com fraud resources. These reports are useful to researchers and law enforcement to identify trends and prioritize their activities. In other words, filing online usually won't help you get your money back, but it will help other people. To quickly recap, this is what we covered today. We opened with a brief bio on me. We talked about individuals versus businesses. We talked about the definitions of information security versus anti-fraud versus privacy. We talked about why you should care about information security. And then we talked about what you can do both before an incident and after an incident. I hope that you've taken away a great deal of useful information from this presentation. Thank you for your time. Once again, my name is Gary Chan, and I can be reached at alphizzo.com.